Many thanks for your time. Let's begin with Ghanaian workers who have today joined the rest of the world to commemorate International Labour Day. Many defied the rains to join a procession from the heart of Accra to Independence Square, demanding improved pension systems. We have details of this and a protest by some of the workers who are demanding the resignation of TUC Secretary General Dr. Anthony Yalba for failing to demand better conditions of service for them. First, though, here's JoyNews' Kojo Yankson, who joined the procession to the Independence Square.
When you invest, you expect returns. Over the years, we do not think that the returns have been very good. Sometimes they get good returns, but sometimes the returns have not been as we expect. But things are changing very, very fast at SNIT. Things are improving very, very fast. Under the new leadership, they are working very hard with the new management. So things are changing. They have audited all the investments before they took over 2 years ago. And the profile is improving. Where they need to stop the investment, they have stopped. If they have to inject more funds in the investment, they are doing it. So we had a forum just last week, and the Director General explained the investment strategy. We think if we go by that, SNIT investment will improve. Things were not that good, but I can see a very good future for SNIT.
When the Secretary General of the TUC took his stage, he demanded a social contract between government and Ghanaian workers, highlighting discrepancies in the pension systems, among other issues. So how does the President respond to all of these?
The period of preparation towards work, the period during which we work, and the period during which we take a deserved rest from work. The lopsided nature of things in our country is demonstrated by the statistic quoted eloquently in the speech by the General Secretary of the Trades Union Congress. That is, the workforce in our country is estimated at about 13 million, and those in formal work number about 1.2 million. The government of Ghana employs about 600,000 of this number, and more than 80% of all government revenue is spent on the remuneration and conditions of service of those of us in the group. Very few of us, among the 600,000 on the government payroll, are satisfied with our circumstances. And I'm sure we have all heard of some of the main sources of unhappiness among the litany of complaints read out by the representatives of organized labor. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe it is time we face reality and start asking ourselves some of the difficult questions. Development remains our collective responsibility and aspiration. Should we continue to pay greater attention on improving the conditions of the few who are in jobs, or should we concentrate on creating the atmosphere for more jobs to be generated? For years, we all said many public officials were pushed into corrupt practices because they were so badly paid. Salaries and conditions of service have been improved for many, and we have not seen the equivalent improvement in the quality of the work they do. This year, the theme for our May Day celebration is Sustainable Pensions for All, the role of social partners. The theme takes us to what I identified as the third stage of our work-centered existence. It assumes that we have acquired the skills needed for the life of work, and we have jobs, and can look forward to a time of satisfying retirement. Everyone knows the critical contribution of labor to the production process, economic growth, and sustained development. It is important that the dignity of labor is maintained throughout retirement. The passage of the National Pensions Act 2008 ushered Ghana into a new pension regime characterized by a three-tier pension scheme. As we all know, This scheme is made up of a basic national social security scheme, Tier 1, an occupational pension scheme, Tier 2, and a provident fund and personal pension schemes, Tier 3. Currently, pension fund assets are reported to have grown from 5.1 billion, representing 6.75% of GDP in 2012, to 20.8 billion, representing 10.1% of GDP in 2017. Fund assets have therefore kept growing since the implementation of the three-tier pension scheme. This has provided an opportunity for private sector pension operators or companies to thrive. In 2018, the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, NPRA, registered and licensed 30 corporate trustees, 77 pension fund managers, and 17 pension fund custodians. This rapid growth in total pension assets can be attributed mainly to increased private sector participation in the pension sector, the availability of sound investment guidelines, and an independent regulatory authority, NPRA, that oversees and ensures compliance with good practices. In addition, Tier 3 offers opportunities for workers in both the formal and informal sectors to make voluntary contributions. This is a most welcome innovation into our pension regime. Indeed, formal sector workers who contribute to Tier 3 schemes have an added advantage in that their pension obligations are deducted before tax. I look forward to all Ghanaian workers recognizing the importance of pensions and gaining confidence in the sector. The current system gives the individual worker the opportunity to have absolute control over his or her pension through effective and transparent management. As I told you last year, over 3 billion CDs, i.e. 3.1 billion CDs of pension funds that had been outstanding for 6 years, and about which TUC had been loudly complaining, were transferred in 2017 from the Temporary Pensions Fund account, TPFA, at the Bank of Ghana to the appropriate occupational pension schemes. I'm informed that the Ministry of Finance has arranged for payment of 200 million CDs and the bond of 700 million CDs towards the retirement of the arrears owed to SNIT. This will leave arrears of 800 million CDs, which will be included in next year's budget. We will build a robust economy and a prosperous society when we put in place a pension scheme for all workers. For far too many of our people, the end of their lives is marked by poverty. Too many people either have no pensions at all or have inadequate pensions to meet the needs of old age. In the informal sectors of the economy especially, most people work without any thought to pension coverage. And when they no longer have the strength to work, their lives become miserable. Our societies have changed. Old people can no longer, regrettably, count on their children to look after them in their old age. I hope and pray that we never lose the Ghanaian values of accepting responsibility for looking after our old people. But that should not stop us from organizing things to ensure independence and dignity to the old during retirement. Since about 90% of workers operate in the informal sector, we must focus our attention on extending access to that sector in compliance with the National Pension Law. At the moment, government efforts are on course to establish a cocoa farmers pension scheme. This trend will be extended to other worker groups in the informal economy.
And at the celebration today, we saw some workers of Gridco raising some concerns with placards. Let's now get some more clarification from the staff of Gridco. But before I introduce Raphael to you, the placards, some of the placards read, government, don't throw away Gridco like ECG, government pay us our ESLA debts, lack of maintenance is equal to more doom. So those were some of the things we read on the placard. Raphael Kofi is president of the Senior Staff Association. So we saw some of Gridco staff display placards, mostly indicating the company is in distress. What exactly is the state of the organization?
Well, thank you, madam. I think as the placards read, you can see that the company is in dire need of funds and is hampering our operations. So for us, all that we are saying is that the legacy debt, which Gridco has a portion, which has not been paid, we want it to facilitate our maintenance and our operations, simply because our operations are time-bound, and currently, because of the cash situation, we are doing ad hoc maintenance, which is not good for our operations. In Ghana, we have about almost 15,000 transmission towers dotted around the country. We have over 82 substations. We have over 200 high-capacity transformers, which needed to be maintained. And all this needs to be done on routine basis. So if you don't do them, it means it has a ripple effect. And that effect is also going to have effect on the distribution sector. So all that we are saying is that government, give us our money. We are viable, and we need our money to facilitate our operations. And for me, I think that the messages you read on the placard are the thinking of majority, all staff in Gridco, and not just a protection.
Now, if we get the message right, lack of maintenance equals more doom. So does that give an indication that there's a possibility of the country returning to total darkness?
Well, for us, we know that our operations is based on routine maintenance. And if you don't do the maintenance that is needed today, you may not see the effect today. It will come tomorrow. And so for us, in order not to go those days so that the Gridco will be blamed, we are saying that, look, give us our money and we will do our maintenance effectively on ad hoc basis. We are doing ad hoc maintenance instead of routine, and it all borders on cash flow. We have about 14,000 transmission towers, as I said, over 200 high-capacity transformers, which needed to be maintained at periodic intervals. And for us, if these things are not done, it has a ripple effect on the delivery of power.
Perhaps if you give us details of your maintenance work, we'll be able to appreciate the problem at hand. How often are you supposed to be doing maintenance, and how much maintenance are you able to do right now?
We have quarterly maintenance, we have monthly maintenance, we have half-year maintenance, we have 2-week maintenance. And when it comes to the transmission towers, in fact, it needs to be policed on daily basis. So you can imagine over 14,000 transmission towers dotted around the country. Even some passes through forest, thick forest, where people go and they are being bitten by black flies here and there. And so it involves traveling here and there. Now we need to be up in doing so that at least all those properties will be protected. And as I said, if we don't do them, it has adverse effect on power delivery.
And you talked about how government hasn't paid your ESLA debt. How long haven't you been paid this ESLA debt?
As you are aware, ESLA debt has been hanging. In fact, from 2017, monies that are owed GRICO up to 2017 falls under the ESLA, and UCG and VALCO are majority of they take majority of our power, and so debt that accrued up to 2017 June is what falls under the ESLA, and government promised to take all those debts under the energy legacy debt. So these things are having serious adverse effect on our operations.
And how are you planning to push government to address this issue?
Well, for us, we think that the government is a listening government, and the placards that read, they will listen to it. By 15th May, we are expecting to hear something. For us, we have other options on the table, and we'll make sure that government listens if they don't want to listen. We know they are listening government, and they will listen to us.
Have you had any engagement at all with government already?
Well, we had some engagement with the energy minister, who is a fine minister. He is very accommodating. He received the staff groups, and we have some talks with him, and he promised taking the matter up. I know the matter has been taken up, but we need to press home because we cannot wait in perpetuality.
But initially you said you have other options you may consider. What other options do you have on your table?
Well, you know, if you are driving home your issue, this is just the start. We'll use all legitimate means to push home or to drum home our demands.
Many thanks to you. Raphael Connor is president of Senior Staff Association of GRICO, and he's been hammering some of the issues that the company faces, and including the fact that the country could go back to doomsday if their machines are not maintained regularly. But also today at the celebration, we saw it was supposed to be a holiday, but we saw a celebration of international workers, but we also saw some workers asking for the TUC boss to be sacked. We'll bring you that story, but we'll also, before that, we'll take